Emmanuel Goldstein. During the 2 minutes of hate, the face of Emmanuel Goldstein, the enemy of the people, had flashed onto the screen. There were hisses here and there among the audience. A little sandy-haired woman gave a squeak of mingled fear and disgust. Goldstein was the renegade and backslider who once, long ago, how long ago nobody quite remembered, had been one of the leading figures of the party, almost on a level with Big Brother himself. And then he engaged in counter-revolutionary activities, had been condemned to death, and had mysteriously escaped and disappeared. Is Emmanuel Goldstein good? It's an interesting question, because when you're living in a dystopia, is the enemy of the state rendered good just by definition? Is the one who opposes evil by definition good? Maybe. Certainly a good possibility, and certainly when you're living in a place like Oceania, anyone who's a counter-revolutionary, where the revolutionaries are now the ones who are ruling Oceania, it seems like anyone who's opposed to Big Brother, well, that person is worth being on the right side of. And then we learned that Goldstein also had crazy teachings and demands. He advocated things on the bottom of 12, like freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, freedom of thought. And he was crying hysterically in the video that the revolution had been betrayed. And all of this in rapid polysyllabic speech, which was a sort of parody of the habitual style of the orators of the party. Did you get that? Speaking in polysyllabic speech. Big ideas, freedom of speech, freedom of the press. Seems like a good guy to be on the right side of. Seems like the sort of person I'd want to be allied with. Except, later on, Winston and Julia go to O'Brien's to join the Brotherhood. And they're asked there, are you prepared? This is on page 172. Are you prepared to give your lives? And they both answer yes. Are you prepared to commit murder? Yes. To commit acts of sabotage, which may cause the death of hundreds of innocent people? Yes. To betray your country to foreign powers? Yes. Are you prepared to cheat, forge, blackmail, to corrupt the minds of children, to distribute habit-forming drugs, to encourage prostitution, to disseminate venereal diseases, to do anything which is likely to cause demoralization and to weaken the power of the party? Yes. If, for example, it would somehow serve our interests to throw sulfuric acid in a child's face, are you prepared to do that? Yes. Is Goldstein good? I mean, is any regime, is any ideology that asks you to throw sulfuric acid in the face of a child good? Well, if it serves the purposes? Is it okay to lie and to cheat and to steal? Is it okay to falsify information? Is it okay to go about the world in ways that encourage hate and aggression? Is it okay to do all of those things if the end is good? Do the means justify the ends? This is the question that Winston and Julia are faced when they're in O'Brien's apartment and they're being asked about joining the Brotherhood. When I read this passage, I have to be honest, I was on Goldstein's side. I was excited because he's the one who's standing up to Big Brother, and this is supposed to be a great moment. And then we find out that they might be asked to do things that are like fundamentally wrong. And at what point does endorsing activities that are fundamentally wrong and immoral, at what point do the ends cease to matter? It's like Mill and the problem of the island. If the means to everyone's happiness is the torture of one child, is it okay? If the means to securing the sort of society we want means endorsing problematic people and problematic policies, is that okay? At what stage do the means stop being justified no matter what the end. Is Goldstein good? Or is he just a different option of evil? We find out toward the end that, of course, Goldstein doesn't even exist. He's made up by the party to be an object of hate and derision, to help to solidify anger against something. He's not even real. To give up everything you think is good in the world, everything you think is right in the world, to achieve some end, to get rid of Big Brother, and then to find out you've been doing it for something that's fake all along? Be horrible. That's what Winston and Julia discover. I don't think Goldstein is good. Sometimes there's just different options for evil. And that's what we see here. Big Brother is evil. No doubt about that. But so is Goldstein. For all his talk about freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom of thought, none of it matters. Not if the means to get there are throwing sulfuric acid in the face of a child.